नाउ इट कम्स द परमेबिलिटी ऑफ डिफरेंट सॉइल मास. ठीक है, परमेबिलिटी बेसिकली जैसे मैंने आपको बताया, permeability has the same unit of a velocity. Velocity is equal to distance upon time. In the same case, the permeability is also have a same dimension of the velocity. अगर हम बात करें different soil mass की, जैसे हमें पता है कि different soil हमारा coarse grain soil, fine grain soil है, तो coarse grain soil basically जैसे कि हम सब जानते हैं coarse grain soil क्या कौन से होते हैं, whose diameter of particle is greater than 4.75 centimeter. What are coarse grain soil? Coarse grain soil are those which have a diameter greater than 4 point, whose grain size is greater than 4.75 centimeter are called coarse grain soil. Coarse grained soil. And the diameter of the particle is less than 4.75 centimeter, that particular soil is called fine grain soil. Okay. और जैसा कि मैंने आपको लास्ट टॉपिक में बताया था कि coarse grained soil will always have a bigger void ratio. That means the size of the void will be higher in the coarse grain soil as compared to fine grain soil. But if we calculate the number of void will be greater in a fine grain soil. It means अगर हमारा voids, if the voids between the solid grain हमारा जितना बड़ा होगा, that means हमारा उसमें उसी voids के थ्रू पानी जो हमारा maximum निकल सकता है, that means हमारी permeability भी higher होगी. So we can say that the permeability in coarse grain soil will always will always be higher than fine grain soil. Why fine grain soil? Why it is so? Because the size of the void in coarse grain soil will always be bigger than fine grain soil. But if we calculating the number of void will be higher in a fine grain soil. So we can say that the कि हमारा जो permeability होगी will always result in a greater. That means अगर हम ये डायग्राम से देख सकते हैं, the coarse grain soil, what are coarse grain soil? कि just like for example gravel, sand, they have a bigger size of voids, and the fine grain soil, silt and clay. So you can see that the gravel having a max comes under the large coarse grain soil. That means the permeability will be higher. For example, अगर हमारे पास 4 कंटेनर हैं, and if we place in one container gravel, in another container we placing a sand, and in another container we are placing a silt, and in other container we are placing a clay. So अगर हमने इसको पानी फिल किया हुआ है, इस कंटेनर में हम पानी फिल करते हैं, तो we can measure that the कि जो पानी का डिस्चार्ज होगा, the time taken by the water to pass through the gravel will always be lesser. क्यों? क्योंकि size of void will be greater. That means we can say that the water, when water flows to that particular gravel which is containing gravel, it will hardly take 2 minutes. And another, if we are placing a sand in that particular container and we're filling the container with the water, that it means the water will take 20 minutes to discharge to that particular container. And if we are taking a silt in the container which is filled with the water, and if we are measuring the time taken by the water to flow through the container which is filled with the silt, it will take 2 hours. And if we are placing the clay in that particular container which is filled with the water, the time taken by the water to get discharged, it will take 2 days. So हम यहाँ से देख सकते हैं कि जो the coarse grain soil, the rate of permeability, the rate of means कि the time taken by the water to pass through that coarse grain soil will always be lesser as compared to fine grain soil. And how we can classify through the whether it is a coarse grain soil or fine grain soil, we can also classify to the permeability coefficient. Like the coarse gravel will exceed 10-1, and it is relatively permeability will be high, whereas the sand, if it is a clean sand, then the coefficient permeability values varies from 10-1 to 10-3, and it comes under the medium permeable soil. And if a sand is dirty, then the value ranges from 10-3 to 10-5, and it comes under the low permeability. And if we are talking about the silt, then the values varies from 10-5 to 10-7, and it comes under the very low relative permeability. And if we're talking about the clay, then it will always have the value of that particular, the coefficient permeability value will always be lesser, and we can see that it has a value less than 10 minus 7, and it is also said to be impervious, means it will take more time, the water will take more time to flow through it particular clay.